looking at the creation of your own DIY healthy extrudable, or should I say floating tilapia fish feed. Now for years now I have been sharing that the quality of tilapia feed in Jamaica, manufactured by I think it's the only feed plant in Jamaica that manufactures tilapia feed. Something is wrong with the quality, and I'm going to be sharing with you ingredients and steps as to how you can actually make your own. Alright, so first there are two ingredient listings, right? One is if you want to just make the normal tilapia fish feed, like the one that Hypro produce, and the other is if you so desire to make the more I call it extruded one, the one that floats on the top of the water, right? So you're gonna need primary protein, carbohydrates, binder, supplements, right? And in total, the measurement should be precise. You can research the measurement, and for protein you can use duckweed. For protein you can use duckweed. You can use earthworms and fish offals. Now, fish offals are those fish cuttings that you get at the fish market. You know, like the guts and the parts of the softer section of the fish that is discarded by fisher folks whenever they are preparing their fish for sale. So you'll get that, you'll grind it up into probably a blender, and you use that as a protein base for the feed, right? And carbohydrates, you'll use rice bran, cassava peelings. Before you use the cassava peelings, however, you'll need to boil them, right? Breadfruit scraps, and binder, you would use overripe bananas and corn flour, right? And for supplements, you would use additional nutrients like minerals and stuff. You would use moringa leaves, crushed eggshells, or termites, right? And these should provide the necessary ingredients that your tilapia fish needs to grow. And they all, when you should compare them with those that are manufactured in large companies, by large companies out there, and sold to, well, in wholesale or retail to commercial, as well as, you know, small scale tilapia fish farmer. It's practically the same ingredients. It's just that they get their nutrients and their minerals through different means. Now, the difference between the normal tilapia fish feed and the extruded tilapia fish feed is that you're going to be using baking powder. But I'm going to be explaining all of that to you. You're going to be using baking powder and vegetable oil. It helps the vegetable oil, and the baking powder helps the dough to create what I call air pockets. Helps the dough to slide and keep it smooth and nice, right? And enriching and puffy, right? So that's the primary difference, baking powder and the vegetable oil, right? So we're going to be moving on to the steps, and I'm going to be sharing with you the steps in which you would be engaged in so as to produce your very own DIY tilapia fish feed mix. You will need some equipment, guys. You will need a blender, and you need an extruder machine. You can design your own. I am going to be putting together a video that you could use so as to create your own DIY extruder machine for your tilapia fish feed manufacture, right? So here are the steps in which I think that you should follow, and you'll be successful in creating your very own tilapia DIY feed, right? So you need ingredients, right? And you need a protein, and you need the float secret, as I showed it to you before. That's the vegetable oil, and the baking powder, right? And you need a large bowl, like, and you're gonna crush everything together. But I'm getting to that, right? Crushing everything together is called the mash, right? And then moving onward, you're gonna be, so these are the steps that you're gonna be following, right? And I'm gonna be sharing with you the ingredients all laid out in front in a bit, right? A point to note, guys, the ingredients must be in proportion to what you want, because you don't want it to be sticky, and you don't want it to be pasty. You want it to be consistent. You want a consistent dough, so you should follow the equivalent measurement that is outlay if you wish to create a 2-pound tilapia feed, DIY feed. All right, so you also, as I shared with you before, the extrusion system, where it's practically having the dough squeezed through probably a grater or a strainer with holes in it, so you'd actually see the grains or the noodles coming through, right? And you will see that in a section of the video. And then you have the puff, and then you have the sunshine, the water test, the final product, and then you feed your fish. All right, so are you ready? So let's move on to getting that tilapia feed manufactured at the back of your yard. And I guarantee you that your fish will be mature between 6 to 7 months, from your start to your finish. The only thing that I find a problem with this is that it's very time consuming. So if you so desire to make a lot, you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot of time. All right, so number one is that you don't want to spend too much money purchasing commercial feed. In Jamaica, commercial tilapia feed can range between $24,000 to $30,000, depending on who you purchase it from, for a 45 kilogram bag, right, of feed, right? 45 kilogram is roughly about between 25 and 30,000, right? And this is just for one grade. And you know that you have several different grades. Now, the grade will be determinant on the extruder machine that you actually purchase, guys. The extruder machine that you actually purchase will not necessarily purchase, but you can create your own. You can purchase one and you can create your own, right? So the finer holes will give you the opportunity to feed smaller mouth tilapia. The bigger holes within the extruder will give you opportunity to feed the larger fish, right? The rules still stand that you should be mindful of not overfeeding your fish, and also that the feed is floating on the surface, and whenever you see or observe the feed that is manufactured by you at home floating on the top, and the fish seems as if they have had enough, you are advised to take a mesh and remove it from the system. All right, so the next step that we'll be moving on to, guys, you're being admonished to be conservative as far as spending is concerned. So you get all the ingredients together, right, guys, and you mix the ingredients and you add the secret sauce, the secret recipe to make the pellets float in the water. You ensure that your dough has consistency, and you try as very best as possible to either create your own extruder or you can purchase it. And then now you would those noodles that comes out of the extruder, you cut it with the scissors. And the important part is that you need to place it in some water to boil for a bit, in something like a strainer, like a pan, right? And so this step would see you it's like you place it in a pan, and I'll explain it to you further on. You place it in a pan, that's all the cut noodles in a pan, and the pan is placed in a water, so therefore water is not on the feed itself, but water is in the pan, and the pan is floating on the hot water, and it stays like this for a while, right? And then you allow it to dry, you do the flow test, and then you feed your fish. All right guys, so let's see how that one works. So here are the ingredients, guys. The ingredients that you're going to be using. You're going to be using duckweed, or you can even use azula, right? Moringa leaves, crushed eggshells, corn flour or starch, baking powder, 6 ounces of overripe banana. That's those ripe banana with the black things on them, you know, they're ripe until it's as if they're so soft to hold in your hand. 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil, 6 ounces of earthworms or insects, and all these combined to make 2 lovely pound of DIY tilapia fish feed. Now you're also going to be using 2 teaspoons of baking powder. All right, so these ingredients is intended to allow your tilapia fish food to float. All right guys, all right, so after you have collected all of that, guys, you will then move to the next step, where you will be grinding everything together. If you have a blender that you could use, that would be good, because what it does, it ensures that the consistency in the crushing out of everything is there, right? The moringa leaf, and by the way guys, the moringa leaf and the duckweed, if you can get them like probably dry, that would be good. But if you get them like, you know, live plants, you just get them from the pond or get them from somewhere, there's no problem, because it's gonna the process allows them to dry before you actually use them. All right, so the binder is the vegetable oil, the floater is the baking powder, and the binder, both the vegetable oil and the banana, the corn flour, and the corn flour provides carbohydrates. The crushed eggshells provide what you refer to as minerals, and the duckweed and the egg and the fish cuttings provides some amount of protein. All right, okay, so after that guys, you are going to, after you have developed that consistency within the flow, right, you're going to ensure that the dough itself is not sticky, right? So you're going to mix and add ingredients together, ensuring that the dough is not sticky, right? Yes, you're going to have the oil, you're going to have the banana and all that, but you're going to have the corn flour, the corn flour or the rice bran, and everything trying to knead it just as how you would need for those persons who know about dumpling. You knead it until you have that dough wherein it's not sticking on your hand, and you can actually roll it into a ball very easy. All right, so after you have done that guys, what you're going to be doing next, you are going to be placing it in your extruder machine. Now as the noodle comes out of the extruder machine, you're going to take a scissors and you're going to be cutting them in small pieces, placing them in a single container, right? Ensure that the noodles are not sticky, and that comes from the whole what we refer to as consistency in the dough as you mix it together, right? It would be good if you blend everything together and then place the mixture in a big bowl and then place the mixture gradually through the extruder press. Right now I am going to be sharing with you a video similar to this as to how you create your own extruder press, that what you would need, and the process in which how you use it. All right, so after you have done that guys, then what you're going to be doing, you are going to be cutting, as I said, the noodles coming out of the extruder, and they're going to be cut in small pieces and placed within more than likely a metal bowl. And the metal bowl then will be placed on the top of some boiling water, right, which gives heat, right, allows the sun to dry after all this process has been done. Now after you have done that, guys, you allow it to dry, and then you allow it to cool, right, and all right, the container within the pot, right, it's like a strainer with a handle, but what happened is that you do not allow the noodles to stay within the water too long. You hold it with something that you're seeing here right now. I'm not familiar with the name of these cutleries, right? Your water test would more likely prove whether or not the pellets are floating or it dissolves. Now the ingredients that you have, especially the binding ingredients like the ripe banana, helps the material that is what I call it now, kneaded together to be firmly together. Right, I'm going to be sharing a summary of the entire thing. I know I'm going through this a little bit fast, but I'm going to be sharing a summary at the end of the video. So hopefully if you have missed a step, you can probably catch up at the summary. All right, so after you have done the water testing, seeing that the feed is not easily dissolved within the water, then now you move on to feeding your tilapia fish. And I can guarantee you that all the nutritional ingredients as necessary for your tilapia fish growth exist within this simple, very simple set of ingredients and process that you use to feed your fish. All right, so let's move to a summary of the entire presentation. All right, so in summary, let's run through it again, and I just stay at the last section of the slide to share with you what's going on. All right, so let's go at it. All right, so let's go to the summary All right, so I'm talking about tilapia fish feed, right? We're talking about the whole idea of ensuring that your feed has the primary ingredient that should allow them to grow, right? They need protein, carbohydrates, and for the feed to work successfully in the fish pond, you need binder, and binder in this project, this DIY, is oil and ripe bananas, right? Okay, and supplements provides nutrients such as minerals and other things that the fish may need, such as fat, etc. All right, so for most accurate weight and better storage, ensure that your duckweed and moringa cassava are dried and grounded into a fine powder, right? And that's before you add them to the mix, right? If you don't have a scale, 1 pound of dry powder feed meal is roughly equivalent to 3.5 to 4 standard measuring cups, right? For a 2 pound batch, you are looking at about 7 to 8 cups of dry material, right? Now, incorporating the binder, if using overripe bananas, mash them into a smooth paste first. If using corn flour, mix it with a small amount of warm water to create a slurry before adding it to the dry ingredients. And this ensures that the pellets don't fall apart the moment they hit the water, right? Scaling up from 2 pound to 5 pound target. To reach the higher end of your goal, which is 5 pound, right? Simply add, should I say, multiply the 2 pound measurement by 2.5, like, you know, add 2.5 to that, and then you'll get your protein, carbs, binder, supplements. So you need like 30 ounce of protein, 25 ounce of carbs, 15 ounce of binder, and 10 ounce of supplements. Now, the sinking test, tilapia are mid-water to bottom feeders, right? But they will come to the surface if your feed sink too fast. It may get lost in the bush, or what you call substrate, right? The banana binder helps to keep the feed together for a longer period of time, right? And the oil and the baking powder work so as to keep it together and allow it to float, right? Creating your pellets, you can push the mixture through a meat grinder or even a large syringe to create noodles. Then sun dry them. Now, freshness. Now, because these use natural ingredients like fish or fresh banana, only make what you can use within a week. They can't be stored for long, right? And as I shared with you before, fish offals are fish cuttings. Like, you know, when you clean up fish and you have the guts and some other parts, soft parts, yeah. So you will grind all of that up together, right? And store the complete mix, should I say the completed feed into what I refer to as a tight, dry container, all right? And you should be good, and you should be able to experience your own DIY, you know, extruded tilapia fish feed. It is hoped that this video was beneficial. You know, you look at dough consistency, look at extruding, you look at the floating, you look at the whole idea of steam and bake. You can use a shortcut. If you just sun dry these, they will be dense and sink, right? So what you could do, you could try to make them float. You must cook the starch. The starch is going to be heavy, right? So what you could do, you could steam bake them. Steam bake them. You have the, like, you know, the big strainer, like, and it's over a pot of boiling water. So it's not in the water, it's over the pot of boiling water, right? It's steaming. The gelatizing of the starch and the activation of the baking powder, creating tiny air bubbles, including inside the pellets, right? You could, you know, after you have pelletized them, you know, cutting them up cutting up the noodles, you could take a shortcut by using microwave to practically dry out as much moisture. Set the microwave to between 30 seconds to 60 seconds, and they will puff slightly, right? That's what you need. That's what encourages them to float. All right, if you want, you can spread it outside on probably a sheet of zinc, and that will take a longer period of time for it to dry solid. Remember, the more moisture is taken out of the mix, is the more it is puffed, and you know, it's bone dry and it will float. Now, so as to prevent biological water issues, even with floating feeds, your water quality depends on integrity of the pellets. Avoid over oiling. Do not put too much oil in the system, in the mix, right? It blocks oxygen exchange, and stick to you know, like, stick to the teaspoon. All right. The cutting off the noodles, if the feed turns into soup immediately upon hitting the water, you didn't use enough binder. That means you needed to have added more oil or more ripe bananas. You have to do the testing before you actually place it in the fish pond for them to consume, guys, right? you know, the feeding frequency, floating feed allows you to see exactly what the fish are eating. If the feed is still floating after 5 minutes, you are overfeeding, removing the excess, and I shared that with you before, right guys? Measurement is the key. Ensure that you you know, consistent with your measurement, how much feed you feed your fish. Thank you for stopping by. I hope that this video made sense, guys. I try as very best as possible to make it simple, and you will be able to see the different chapters in the video as I am trying to create it by segments. Thank you. Bye bye.